Okay, welcome and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the 2020 Annual General and Special Meeting for the shareholders of EnWave Corporation. My name is John Bedreski. I'm the Executive Chairman of EnWave. Before we commence the formal business meeting, I'd like to provide some opening remarks. Firstly, we would much rather to hold this meeting in person. All of us at EnWave truly enjoyed this annual get-together and the chance for first-person conversations. But now we're having a virtual meeting this year because safety for all commands that we do it in this fashion. So we thank you for your forbearance and for dialing in or logging in today. If you thought that my remarks during this section of the AGM were somewhat sterile in prior years, brace yourself. They're going to be more sterile this year using this format. This year's meeting will, however, hold to the format of prior meetings in one important aspect. We'll cover off that which is dictated by the Canada Business Corporations Act, and then we will follow on with a presentation from EnWave CEO Brent Charlton. Where we are under a different set of rules for the conduct, I want to first advise that on the call that you have Brent Charlton, who's EnWave CEO, Dan Enriques, our CFO, Christine Gregory, Secretary for this meeting, and Nita Garcia, who is with Computershare, is the scrutineer and is the independent person in charge of vote counting and other related responsibilities. They have all extensively researched this alternative way of conducting a meeting and would be happy to respond to any questions that I cannot answer. Excuse me. Let's first start with an overview of the conduct for this meeting. Each attendee has been asked to provide their full name prior to joining the platform, and these details have been conveyed to Computershare for the purposes of registration and record keeping in order to enable them to prepare the scrutineer's report for this meeting. The primary difference between this format and an in-person meeting is the stratification of the shareholders into two groups. These are registered shareholders and non-registered shareholders. To be a registered shareholder, you must have a share certificate with your name on it, and that certificate can be at a place at your home, a place of business, in a safe deposit box, or in rare circumstances, held at your brokerage firm. At EnWave, the registered shareholders number about 50 and collectively hold about 825,000 of EnWave's 111 million shares. This excludes the block held by Aurora. Everybody else is a non-registered, or is often termed beneficial, shareholder, which means that you almost certainly have your shares held in a book-based system at your bank or brokerage firm. Many people think that they're registered shareholders because they own stock and it's registered with their broker, but unless you have in your possession that certificate with your name on it, you're not. You're only registered when you have that certificate. So here's the difference. Registered shareholders get to speak, and if desirable, they can enter or change their votes live while attending this meeting. Non-registered shareholders only get to listen and watch. And it's expected and deemed that a non-registered shareholder has registered their votes through their brokerage firm or bank in advance. So that's the forms that your broker will send out to you to click on or respond to your broker. If any non-registered shareholder wishes to raise a question or comment during the formal part of the meeting, because it's not an active role for you, but I will be pleased to speak with you on a one-to-one basis afterwards. So you can call me, and my number is 416-930-0914. So let's kick things off. All registered shareholders in attendance should press *1 if they wish to speak directly with Computershare representatives. Any registered shareholders who are present here and who have not voted or wish to revoke a previously cast vote in order to recast their vote at this meeting today will be able to complete this process when they speak with Computershare now. As mentioned, this revoting option is only available to registered shareholders. It is not available for beneficial shareholders who hold their shares through a bank or a brokerage report. Another point, if you think that you're a registered shareholder and speak with me at Computershare, your name will be checked against the registered shareholders list. If it turns out that you are not on that list, you'll be politely be advised as such, and you'll not have standing in this meeting as a registered shareholder. So apologies for some of the technicalities here, but this is the way these things work. In addition, since voting on this platform cannot be verified as a show of hands as we typically do at the in-person meeting, for each motion today, we're asking that valid proxy holders and registered shareholders, if you have not done so already, kindly log your vote in advance of the resolutions that are upcoming for all motions and agenda items when you speak with Computershare representative. We expect that this logging in process may take a few minutes, so we ask for your patience while we and ComputerShare manage these very important preliminary procedures. We're going to pause now while these tasks are being completed, and ComputerShare will advise us when they have completed the performance of their steps in the process. So we're going to go on hold while those who wish to speak ComputerShare press *1 and have that conversation. So in the meantime, we're going to play some wonderful elevator-style hold music for your listening pleasure, and we'll be back on when the registered shareholders and ComputerShare have completed their discussion.
Hi.
Mita, go ahead and make your statement, please.
Okay. You may now proceed with the formal business of the meeting.
Okay, thank you, Mita. I trust you've all heard that. So ComputerShare's advice, we can go ahead with the formal business. Accordingly, with the consent of those present, I will act as chairman of this meeting, and I will now call the meeting to order. I'll call upon Christine Gregory to act as secretary of the meeting. And as you can tell, Mita, as a representative of ComputerShare Investor Services on the line as well, and she'll act as scrutineer. So, everybody present, I think, has registered with a scrutineer. And I mentioned, once we've finished with the formal part of the meeting, Brent's going to go walk through. We have a slide deck on WebEx for you folks to follow along with. As would be the case in in-person shareholder meetings, it's only registered shareholders who get to comment today, and we have no registered shareholders. So this section of the meeting is going to move pretty fast because we'll put forward the motions, and then there won't be discussion of them, and away we go. So let's start. The notice calling the meeting of shareholders and describing the matters to be considered today was mailed on February 20th to all shareholders of record of EnWave, effective on February 11th. The declaration of this mailing is available for inspection by any shareholder who requests it, and it will be retained with EnWave's records. In accordance with the corporate statutes and bylaws covering EnWave, and to make this simple, I'm going to propose all motions. Brent Charlton will move these motions, and no seconder will be required. Will someone move that the reading of the notice and the statutory declaration be dispensed with?
I so move.
Since ComputerShare has tallied the votes for all motions today in advance, and they have advised me that today's vote is in favor of the motion, accordingly, the motion is carried. I will now ask ComputerShare to report the results of the preliminary scrutineer's report for today's meeting. Mita?
Yes. The preliminary scrutineer's report indicates there are present at this meeting in person or represented by proxy 189 shareholders holding a total of 34,648,006 shares, and this represents approximately 31.15% of the company's issued and outstanding shares. On the basis of the foregoing, there is a quorum present.
Mita, thank you for that. A final report on attendance will be retained with EnWave's records. So notice has been given as required by applicable law, and as a quorum is present, this meeting is properly constituted for the transaction of business. I've been advised by ComputerShare that the proxies deposited for this meeting have been voted overwhelmingly in favor. We've heard that of all the formal business matters to be voted on today. Our first item of business will be the approval of the minutes of the last shareholder meeting held on March 22nd, 2019. A copy of these minutes will be available for inspection by any interested shareholder who requests that a copy be provided to them. Will someone move that the reading of the minutes of the shareholder meeting held on March 22nd, 2019 be dispensed with, and that they will be adopted and approved as presented?
I so move.
So again, ComputerShare is advising that today's vote is in favor of this motion. Accordingly, the motion is carried. I now place before the meeting EnWave's audited consolidated financial statements for the fiscal period ended September 30th, 2019, together with the auditor's report thereon. These financial statements were mailed to each shareholder who requested a copy and were filed on SEDAR. Will someone move that the reading of the financial statements and the auditor's report be dispensed with?
I so move.
ComputerShare has advised me that today's vote is in favor of this motion. Accordingly, this motion is carried. Our next item of business will be the fixing of the number of directors. Will someone move the fixing of the number of directors for the corporation at 7 for the ensuing year?
I so move.
ComputerShare has advised me that today's vote is in favor of this motion. Accordingly, this motion is carried. Our next item of business will be the election of the directors of EnWave. Management has nominated the following directors: Brent Charlton, Hugh McKinnon, Mary Ritchie, Dr. Stuart Ritchie, Stephen Sanford, Patrick Turpin, and yours truly, John Bedreski. Will someone move the nomination of these 7 persons as directors of EnWave to hold office until the next annual general meeting or until their successors are elected or appointed?
I so move.
Computershare has advised me that today's vote is in favor of this motion and that there are no further nominations. Accordingly, the motion is carried. As there are no further nominations, will someone move that the nominations for the election of directors be closed?
I so move.
Computershare has advised me that today's vote is in favor of this motion. Accordingly, the motion is carried. The next matter to be dealt with is the appointment of auditors of the corporation. Will someone move that the appointment of PricewaterhouseCoopers LLP as auditors of the corporation until the next annual meeting of shareholders and that the directors be authorized to fix the auditor's remuneration?
I so move.
Computershare has again advised me that today's vote is in favor of this motion. Accordingly, the motion is carried. EnWave is requesting that shareholders pass an ordinary resolution reapproving its existing rolling 10% stock option plan. As detailed in the circular mailed for this meeting, this plan has previously been approved by shareholders, and under TSX Venture Exchange policy, it must be approved and ratified by shareholders on an annual basis. This plan is available for review under EnWave's profile on SEDAR. The exact text of the shareholder resolution required to be passed today is set out on page 30 of the circular. Will someone move the adoption of the full text of the shareholder resolution as set out on page 30 of the circular, thus approving EnWave's stock option plan?
I so move.
Computershare has advised me that today's vote is in favor of this motion. Accordingly, this motion is carried. Excuse me. As set forth in detail in the circular, the shareholders are also being asked to approve certain amendments to EnWave's restricted share plan, including an amendment increasing the maximum number of common shares which may be restricted for issuance from Treasury under this plan to 1.895 million shares, and the making of two housekeeping amendments. The TSX Venture Exchange has conditionally approved these amendments subject to shareholder ratification. The exact text of the shareholder resolution required to be passed today is set out on page 32 of the circular. Will someone move the adoption of the full text of the shareholder resolution set out on page 32 of the circular, thus approving these matters with respect to EnWave's restricted share plan?
I so move.
Computershare has advised me that today's vote is in favor of this motion. Accordingly, the motion is carried. Next item. As set forth in the circular, EnWave is requesting that shareholders pass an ordinary resolution approving EnWave's shareholder rights plan. A summary of the terms of the shareholder rights plan is attached to the circular, and a copy of the plan is available for review under EnWave's profile on SEDAR. The TSX Venture Exchange has accepted notice of the plan, subject to approval by the shareholders today. The exact text of the shareholder resolution required to be passed is set out on page 33 of the circular. Will someone move the adoption of the full text of the shareholder resolution set out on page 33 of the circular, approving EnWave's shareholder rights plan?
I so move.
Computershare has advised me that today's vote is in favor of this motion. Accordingly, the motion is carried. As all formal business of the meeting has now been concluded, will someone move to conclude the meeting?
I so move.
Computershare has advised me that today's vote is in favor of this motion. Accordingly, the motion is carried. The formal business of the meeting is now concluded. Thank you all for attending and bearing with us through this process. And now Brent Charlton will stop being an imitator of Groot and go on and give us a brief presentation on the corporation.
Ladies and gentlemen, we ask that you please direct your attention to the webcast portion of today's event. On the right side of your screen, you'll be able to see a slide presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, John and Jesse, our operator. Good afternoon, everyone. EnWave Corporation, including its wholly owned operating subsidiary, NutraDried Food Company, made major progress in fiscal year 2019 and will continue to focus on executing our strategies to position the company for sustainable long-term growth. With the global COVID-19 pandemic upending people's lives and changing the business landscape daily, the leadership at EnWave is reacting accordingly, and I am confident that we will successfully navigate the challenges ahead. I would like to make everybody aware that the information that we are about to present contains some forward-looking information. It is based on management's expectations, estimates, and projections. These statements are not a guarantee of future performance and involve a number of risks, uncertainties, and assumptions. Please consider the risk factors in the filings made by EnWave on SEDAR when reviewing this information. Any financial numbers reported here are in Canadian dollars. EnWave is well positioned to meet the challenges presented by the evolving global COVID-19 pandemic and subsequent ripple effects. Now, more than ever, the need for healthy, shelf-stable food is emphasized. This is a business that can do very well in stressful times like these. We are responding to the changing conditions in which we operate and are taking decisive action to safeguard the business in the short term. This is a storm that EnWave can weather, and we are fully prepared and have begun to take action. Our distinctive excellence is that our company continues to offer the most scalable and reliable vacuum microwave technology in the world. Further, we have accumulated years of processing and operational expertise that enables our licensed partners to accelerate innovation and reduce the time needed to develop manufacturing solutions. The list of proven product applications for REV continues to grow. That being said, let's review our recent financial performance in fiscal year 2019. We had significant top-line growth in fiscal year 2019, improving from $22.8 million in fiscal year 2018 to $42.8 million, nearly a 100% increase. Third-party royalties also had incremental growth pursuant to additional radiant energy vacuum machinery being installed and utilization by certain licensed partners increasing. In Q1 fiscal 2020, we recorded the highest quarterly royalties from third parties in the history of the company. Royalties generated by NutraDried almost doubled between fiscal 2018 and fiscal 2019, driven largely by sales to Costco. NutraDried royalties dropped in Q1 2020, and this was due to a decrease in sales to Costco in Q1 after an overstocking of product in Q4 2020. This next slide charts the amount of third-party quarterly royalties received over the past 4 years. Circled in green are the first quarters of each fiscal year, which coincides with the due date for minimum annual royalty payments from licensed partners to maintain their license exclusivities. As we see, the trend is positive. However, we are working with many of our partners to help accelerate their commercial efforts in order to steepen the growth. We have proven the commerciality of many REV-dried products now, and several of our partners are scaling their operations. This was not the case a few years ago. Our sales team is focused on leveraging those successes into many new licensed partners in available markets around the globe, which should drive future royalty revenue growth. Additional financial highlights in fiscal 2019 to date include positive net income of $3 million from NutraDried as significant investments were made in building out the management, sales, and marketing teams. A consolidated adjusted EBITDA of $3.17 million showing profitability and an improvement over fiscal 2018. Today, we have a strong balance sheet with about $14.5 million in treasury, and both machine sales revenue and royalty revenue continue to grow. EnWave's commercial performance has also improved from year to year. In fiscal 2019, we signed an additional 9 new commercial licenses, up from 4 licenses signed in fiscal 2018. Thus far in fiscal 2020, we have already signed 5 new licenses, bringing our total of active royalty-bearing licenses to 37. This is a leading indicator for royalty growth, and the rate of new licenses is increasing. To date, we have 1,325 kilowatts of REV machinery installed and being used for commercial purposes. Many of the machines are being used at close to full utilization. However, there is still ample runway for many of our licensed partners to increase the royalties payable to EnWave with existing capacity. Once travel bans are lifted and we are able to complete the installations of REV machinery on order, we intend to start up an additional 670 kilowatts of capacity in fiscal 2020. Our partner portfolio is diverse, both in geographical location and entity size, but all share the commonality of embracing disruptive innovation. We've had the most success commercializing REV technology in the dairy, fruit, vegetable, and cannabis market verticals. Royalty partners of note that continue to make positive commercial progress include Arla Foods, Rural Friesland Campina, 2 of the top 10 global dairy companies, Calbee, the leading snack company in Japan, Milne Microdried, Gailey Foods here in Canada, and Bear Foods, which is owned by PepsiCo, among others. We aim to add many more companies to our partner portfolio this year. Also of note, the U.S. Army continues to progress towards REV-dried military ration adoption. Material progress is anticipated in the coming year. With the COVID-19 pandemic demanding swift action by global pharmaceutical companies to develop a vaccine in record time, the number of inquiries we have received about REV in this industry has increased materially. In January, EnWave signed a technology license and joint development agreement with GEA Lyophil, a global leader in the manufacture and sale of pharmaceutical lyophilizers. The purpose of this partnership is to leverage the pharmaceutical expertise and sales network that GEA has in order to shorten the path to potential material commercialization of scaled-up, GMP-qualified REV machinery. We see this as the most viable and low-cost method to create value in the pharmaceutical with our pharmaceutical technology. GEA Lyophil is a world leader in the development and manufacturing of pharmaceutical technologies. Long-term, EnWave will receive a royalty tied to gross proceeds received from the sale of pharmaceutical REV equipment and a share of any additional carried interest payments. Regardless of the progress that we have made over the past few years, I understand that it is still not sufficient. The next section of this presentation will address the current state of affairs of both EnWave as a royalty licensing business and NutraDried as a snack food company. The reality is that as a company currently doing business in more than 15 countries, we will be challenged by the COVID-19 pandemic. Our prospective order pipeline for REV machinery is strong, but we will certainly be delayed in our ability to complete the installation of equipment that is on order and close the deals pending with both current and new royalty partners. Our team has already taken steps to advance our projects and ongoing business development conversations through the use of virtual tools where possible. As previously mentioned, the need for the solutions that REV technology can provide has been heightened by this pandemic. We are not naive to think business will not be impacted in the short term, but we will be prudent and opportunistic to ensure mid and longer term success. We are also navigating the slowdown in the Canadian cannabis industry. The majority of licensed producers did not perform as expected, and as a result are approaching financial hardship. The value proposition we offer to cannabis manufacturers is compelling, and we are shifting our focus to address international markets to complement continued domestic efforts. Last year, we received a record number of large-scale REV machine orders from cannabis companies. Our prudent cash collection methods have allowed us to avoid prospective write-downs and generate healthy profits from both the Tilray and TGOD projects. We have small exposure on the Aurora project, but they have demonstrated a history of payment. Moving forward, we will continue to pursue new royalty partners in Australasia, Europe, South America, and as of this week, the US. As a supplier of equipment that embodies years of research and development, patented innovation, know-how, and particularly a recent process patent specifically for the drying and decontamination of cannabis, the US market presents a significant opportunity to EnWave. Over the past several months, we conducted extensive legal and regulatory due diligence, which concluded that EnWave may proceed with its expansion strategy into the U.S. market in compliance with applicable U.S. federal laws. We've also received assurances from the TSXV that our planned business expansion into the U.S. cannabis market will not affect continued listing of the company's securities on the TSXV, subject to certain conditions that the company believes it can satisfy. Our response to the COVID-19 pandemic must remain fluid. We are being proactive in our activities to minimize the health risk to our employees while maintaining our critical operations. Most of our staff are now working remotely and are using virtual tools to facilitate continued collaboration. Our manufacturing operations are continuing, and staff that are working are following all of the health guidelines published by the government authorities. We will leverage the digital sales tools that we have developed to drive engagement with prospects, and we are offering to provide remote servicing and installation guidance if our partners wish to complete work independently. Effective until further notice, EnWave has postponed all business travel, eliminated all discretionary spending, and have canceled trade show participation. We will get leaner and be agile to navigate these uncertain times. Some key actions that we have taken in our business include a right sizing of our team. rebalancing of internal resources towards sales and marketing, increased manufacturer outsourcing, and increasing our rev machinery pricing schedule to drive profit. We are also keenly focused on generating new business and proven market verticals through the use of digital sales tools. We're operating a global business, and we can't be everywhere physically, so at the very least, we must be there digitally, using the right tools. This is more important than ever due to the global environment. We have technical content and an engagement strategy developed to expand our audience of prospects and capture key information along the way to increase our close rate. One of the newest tools is our digital product library, which allows prospects to explore the many product applications that we have already developed. We are able to track the content they view and the amount of time they spend viewing. That information triggers automated follow-ups and informs our sales team to prompt next steps. Furthermore, this digital tool equips our sales team with the technical details needed to push deals forward. Live chat implementation on our website has generated over 350 new qualified leads since November 2019. This tool answers the questions of leads in real time, allowing for us to identify FAQs and ultimately gather more information for sales follow-up. Initial interactions are automated to gather information before the data package is forwarded to our sales team for immediate follow-up. We are also collecting lead data by strategically exchanging information placed on our website's application pages. In order to download an application brochure, contact information must be entered to release the download. That data is delivered to our sales team via email, again for immediate follow-up. Those brochures that are offered on our website are also available in multiple languages in an effort to enhance the flow of initial information and qualify international leads. Our strategy is a global one, and having these sorts of tools allows us to reach non-English markets more effectively. These are just some examples of how EnWave continues to develop strategies and tools to better engage with current and potential royalty partners. Since becoming the sole owner of NutraDried, EnWave has made major changes to the organization in an effort to accelerate material growth. New management was hired with significant consumer packaged goods experience. It completely overhauled the sales infrastructure, broker network, marketing strategy, packaging, and have improved operating capabilities. NutraDried has earned distribution for Moon Cheese in many premier retail grocers, Costco on a rotational basis in select divisions, and is now beginning to pursue convenience, natural, and food service channels with vigor. That being said, NutraDried faces immediate growth challenges due to the COVID-19 pandemic. With the current macroeconomic headwinds, appropriate expense reductions will be made. Some of the challenges presented by COVID-19 include difficulty in holding face-to-face sales meetings. Virtual meetings are now being pursued. Many retailers are dealing with restocking of core items in response to widespread hoarding behavior. An unprecedented number of large retailers are also not taking meetings for new products and are focused solely on resolving issues faced at store level with existing products. Despite current challenges, NutraDried is optimistic about distribution expansion in fiscal 2020. Moon Cheese is currently has shelf space in over 30,000 stores, and the velocities are impressive. In recent months, NutraDried's sales team met with over 60 retailers that represent almost 7,000 stores and are waiting on stocking decisions from another 38 retailers representing 6,500 stores. Recent wins include expansion in Target to the Cracker Set and expanded store count by 1,300. Publix is taking shippers for distribution, REI committed to a fourth SKU, and 8 new food service operators have become customers. Two major improvements that have not yet fully influenced NutraDried's performance include the addition of 2 new flavors, Parmesan garlic and bacon cheddar, which tested as the second and third most popular flavors among target consumers, and the expansion of format sizes. New 1-ounce packages are now available to drive sales in channels and complement current distribution. There is also a 10-ounce size available in all 5 flavors. With what we view as a winning product lineup that has already proven itself in a number of retailers, we believe that NutraDried will continue to expand once we overcome the near-term headwinds faced by all businesses. Moon Cheese has been a strong growth business based on limited SKUs. Here is a look at some of the currently offered portfolio of products. There are other concepts in the pipeline as well that leverage REV technology, and NutraDried aims in the midterm to expand its offering of shelf-stable, better-for-you snacks to continue the growth of the brand. EnWave stock performance has been up and down over the past year. It's no secret that we have recently been trading around the 52-week low. Our goals remain consistent, and the unique investment opportunity that we present has not changed. The entire executive team and staff are focused on improving our business and financial performance, as well as earning the confidence of the market back. EnWave was affected both positively and negatively this year. Our inclusion in 2 cannabis ETFs certainly added to the selling pressure, as many licensed producers continue to underperform and anything cannabis sells off. Additionally, following our Q1 2020 numbers that were underwhelming due to NutraDried performing below expectations, the stock experienced a sell-off that is now being exacerbated by COVID-19 market correction. In regard to future machine sales, we are confident that additional REV machines, both large and small, will be sold in fiscal 2020. With all that we are facing, the timing of new orders is very challenging to predict, but our pipeline is very strong with both potential reorders and new partner orders for machines. NutraDried has near-term challenges to overcome, but its strategic plan is sound, and we expect growth in that business too. In these uncertain times, we are solid on the balance sheet. We are well positioned to execute our plans and continue our quest to become bottom-line profitable as soon as possible. To conclude, our value proposition as an investment opportunity is intact. We continue to be the global leader in vacuum microwave technology. We've proven that our licensing royalty business model can be implemented with companies big and small. The runway for additional business remains wide and long, and our financial performance has steadily improved over the past few years, and NutraDried remains a fast-growing snack company with plenty of upside. With the formal presentation now concluded, I will open up the lines for any questions if you have them.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to queue a question, please press star 1 on your telephone keypad. The confirmation tone will indicate that your line is in the question queue. You may press star 2 if you would like to remove your question from the queue. For participants using speaker equipment, it may be necessary to pick up your handset before pressing the star keys. One moment, please, while we poll for questions. Thank you. Our first question comes from the line of John Cheeble. Please proceed with your question.
Hi, guys. Keep up the good work. How much of the 625 new kilowatt capability is going to be sold in North America?
So I think your question is referring to the amount of REV capacity that's already being ordered, and we received payment for some of them. In North America, it's basically the Aurora large-scale machines, which are allocated to the Sun and Sky facilities. The remaining capacity is allocated to international companies.
So is it like 50-50 or what?
Well, the 2 machines that are going to Aurora are 240 kilowatts in total, so just over a third.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Our next question comes from the line of Eric Pesum. Please proceed with your question.
Hi, Brent. Great presentation. I just wanted a little, would you mind elaborating on the relationship that we have with Costco, just because it represents such a large percentage of the sales in NutraDried? How safe is that? Can it expand? Is there an outlook right now, or are things just a little too fluid to make comment on that?
Yeah, good question, Eric. Indeed, Costco is incredibly impactful to the NutraDried business, but to be perfectly honest, at this time it is so fluid that we can't provide any form of guidance in terms of what we should anticipate with the Costco relationship this year, other than we will continue as planned in terms of working with various divisions within their ecosystem, supplying Munchies on a rotational basis, and hopefully, obviously, improving the amount of truckloads they order this year.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to pass the floor back over to Brent for any additional concluding comments.
Okay, just would like to thank all participants in today's call. If you have further questions following the call, I'm always available, like John. You know, my cell phone number is 778-378-9616, or you can reach me at bcharlton@enwave.net. The meeting is now concluded, and thank you very much for attending.
Thank you, everybody.